Hello and welcome to Elizabeth's Craft Room. Today we're going to do a technique that's specially requested by lovely Sandra T, who asked me to do the reflection technique. So we're going to make this card today. So the first thing you need is some glossy cardstock, and it needs to be just a little smaller than your card blank. So I've got an A6 card, and I have cut that at 10 by 14 centimetres, the glossy, but just a little smaller than your card. So I'm going to start off with a brayer, and I'm going to use Lucky Limeade today. I think I used Wild Wasabi on the other one. And I'm going to start off by doing the bit that is going to be the grass, or the background there. And I'm just inked that brayer all the way up and all the way round, and you can get a nice even effect. And then I'm going to turn it round, and I'm now going to do the water where the images are going to reflect, and this is Baja Breeze. Now, my original class that I did this in many a long year ago was with Lovely as a Tree, and if you have that stamp set, this is absolutely beautiful to do with Lovely as a Tree. But today I'm going to use Summer Silhouettes. So there we go. So there we've got our border between the water where the reflection's going to be and the land above. Okay. So the next thing we're going to need is the sheet from your Stamp-A-Majig. You don't need the Stamp-A-Majig itself necessarily. You might want to use it, but I'm just going to use the sheet, and you want the glossy side faced up. Now what I'm going to do with this, I'm going to start off with this image. So the stamp set, as I said, I'm using is Summer Silhouettes. And I'm going to use Early Espresso ink. And ink that image up, and you want these to come down to sort of be touching the edge, because you want to have those reflected below. So that's my first image. Then I'm going to stamp that again onto the sheet. Now be careful when you do it not to skid it. It's very easy to skid. And then I'm going to line that up so that it's opposite. And I'm going to go back to my brayer and just run that over, and there you've got a perfect reflection. So very important before we move on is to get that, whoops, helps if it's the right side up, to get that image cleaned off, as we don't want any of that to be left. And we go on to the next one. Now be careful in between not to touch this, because it's glossy cardstock. It will take a little longer to dry. So I'm going to go for this image next and just pop that here. And once again stamp it on the sheet. And I'm just kind of eyeballing this. You could be a little bit more careful than me, but to be honest, I think you can kind of see where it's going to go. And so you carry on. So clean that off again. I've got this image here. There we go. And I'm just going to put a little one up here as well. And put a flower on the top. And all of these images are from that same stamp set. Now to finish it, what I want to do is to put a greeting on. This is Miracles Happen. This is from the Blooming Marvellous stamp set, and I just liked the idea of the Miracles Happen on this particular card. So I'm going to stamp that in there. And then I want to get that about the right distance, so I'm just using the stem and the edge of the card to try and judge exactly where that is that needs to go. Make sure it's straight. And that works beautifully. Now another little tip for you, if like me you like Tombow glue, don't be tempted to start putting the Tombow glue on the back of your glossy cardstock. You can press a little bit too hard with that tip and you will see lines coming through. And because it's a wet glue, with the glossy you can get a kind of an effect. So as you can see, I've put mine on the card itself, and then I'm using the other end of the Tombow, which has a spreader on, to spread that glue out and make it very thin. And that way, when I put my card on, and I'm going to turn it over and press just in case any of that ink is still wet, and lovely card. So here's my original. This was the one that was done with with wild wasabi. But I think I quite like the zinginess there of the Lucky Limeade. So I hope you've enjoyed today's technique, and do come back soon to Elizabeth's Craft Room.